Welcome to episode 22 of The Player and the Journalist with Carson Harris and David Vick. In this episode, we are joined by royalty. 2 words, Izzy Scane. No crazy intro is needed for her because the name speaks for itself. Izzy Scane, thank you so much for joining us. How's it going?
I'm great. How are you guys? I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, we have a lot of questions. We like to start off pretty light with our questions. So before you joined in, I was telling Carson I have an early morning flight tomorrow, and I was thinking about just cooking some eggs tonight and heating them up for breakfast. And she said that is disgusting. What are your thoughts on that?
I would have to agree with her. That is a little. I feel like eggs are so easy to make. You don't need to pre-make them. Just whip them up real quick in the morning. Come on.
That is true.
So
That is
gross.
true.
I don't even
I've
think they
never
would
never had that. That seems like an interesting way to do it.
Okay, hey, you
Yeah.
know what?
I knew that. I knew you were gonna say that.
You'll have to let us know how that is. It doesn't sound super appetizing, but maybe it's great, and then you'll have like a new meal prep.
Hey, I did hear on the radio yesterday so in Utah they have some weird stuff on the country radio, and I like country music, so I listen to the country radio. And so this guy called in and said that his girlfriend liked to cook pasta in the dishwasher.
Oh, interesting. I feel like it would taste like soapy, like just from the like residue and stuff. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah. I mean, I don't. So evidently, she puts it on like the steam cycle, and that works. But that sounded really weird to me. I
Did you
don't.
put it like in a bowl in the dishwasher, or just like loose pasta?
Loose pasta, totally.
You
Just
know,
dump it at the
out of
bottom.
The boyfriend did not supply that information on the radio.
Oh, that's important.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
So,
important
anyways,
information.
All right.
yeah. Now that we have those two things out the way, pasta in the dishwasher and leftover eggs, we are going to get into some lacrosse. Okay. So I have the first question. Your team has been on a roll, just to put it lightly. Okay, you've been on a roll. Very well, easily be undefeated. The Syracuse game could have gone either way, and it was the first game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering what is going so well for you and the team that y'all look so dominant each time y'all take the field.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know. I think this year we have a really, really good group of girls. Like our team gets along very, very well, and we all work very hard for the people like to the left and the right of us. And I think that's a really good environment that's going to lead to a team doing well. Just if everyone's kind of on the same wavelength of wanting to work hard for the people next to them. And I think this year especially, I mean, every year I've been at Northwestern, it's been great teams, but I think the culture is really awesome. Of like we have these young girls coming in doing great things and being huge players on our team, and we have returners and we have new girls that are all kind of filling into these spots that we needed filled. And I'm glad to be back. I think it helps having some more veteran players on the field, a little bit of an older team this year. And I think just every day our team kind of focuses on making sure we're getting better in some way. And I think it's just been a great culture so far. And I think that's led to the success we've seen on the field. I think games are just kind of like the icing on the cake when it comes to preparing correctly. And yeah, it's been awesome so far. I hope it continues to go the way it's been going, and hope for good things. Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm no genius over here, but I think it's going to keep going pretty well, okay? Also, Carson and I owe you an apology because when we did our preseason episode, we both picked Maryland to win the Big Ten. And that's not going to happen, okay?
Also, don't sell yourself short. You said, oh, well, like me being back just because I'm a veteran on the field is nice. Like, no, you being back and scoring 10 goals a game is also nice. It's not just the experience. The experience I'm sure you're bringing to the field is phenomenal also, but it's a combination of a lot of things. Don't sell yourself short because you being back is definitely better than just the experience.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So while I did apologize for Carson and myself picking Maryland to win the Big Ten, she picked Maryland to win the whole thing. I did not do such a thing, okay? So if you have any words for Carson, now is the time to vent those frustrations. Okay?
Listen, I'm already embarrassed enough.
It's fair. They're a great team. They're always a great team, and you always see them pulling it out at the end of the season, anyways. So I can respect it, but hopefully can shift your allegiance a little bit now. Hopefully, but no, they're awesome. I understand it. I understand the appeal. It's Maryland, you know. People
Well, thank
like
you.
them.
I appreciate it. I think that part of me was just like when I was growing up. So I lived in Maryland. Part of me growing up, they were always they were so good, like so dominant when I was growing up.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
think part of me just jumped on their train when I saw like a flicker of hope. So I was like, oh, it's happening again. Like my 10-year-old self was like, Maryland's back.
Fair
So
enough. I
should have
can't.
done better. That's my fault.
That's okay. Fair enough. I've blindly rooted for Northwestern since I started playing because they're like a Midwest team. So I've always been the same way. So I can respect it, but hopefully not.
Well, my question is next, and I think like I don't know if the people listening can tell, but you've already been on this podcast like so smiley, so happy. And my question kind of goes into that because you are even on the field. I think all of the pictures that they take of you, like you're always smiling, you're always happy. And what's going through your head while you're playing a game? Because it's clearly positive things, and I just want to know.
Yeah, I think this year has been a very fun year for me just because I mean I'm a big proponent of like everything happens for a reason, and I think with the injury I think it kind of let me reset and like have a new appreciation for how much I really enjoy the game and love the people around me and love being on the field. And I think going into this season my main focus was just like don't think about anything other than just like enjoying what you're doing, because at this point last year I was sitting the bench and I would have paid $1 million to be on the field. So I think that has been a really big focus for me. And I think that allows to have a little pressure off of my shoulders. And like I said, the team's so great that I know I have so many people that have my back on the field with me. And I think that allows for just like a very fun, like enjoying environment. And I really love the team this year. And I think it's just a fun environment as a whole. And I've known these girls for so long, and even the new ones just mesh so well with us that it's just been a blast. Honestly, I'm just happy to be on the field. I love the game. I love games. It's like always like my favorite part of the year, like once games start going. And yeah, it's been fun. I cannot complain. I've just been having a good time with my friends, basically.
Well, that's what you look like when you play. That's pretty much
Thanks.
exactly what I expected, because you just
Appreciate
do
it.
have this like lightness and airiness to you when you play that people playing with stress on their shoulders don't play with. So I thought to follow up with that, I think a lot of people struggle with that, right? Like in the game of lacrosse, I think a lot of people get stuck in ruts. They start thinking negative things, and then it can just like ruin a game for them. So because you seem to have mastered it, what advice would you give to the players that can get in those negative headspaces and have a hard time like moving on?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that helped me with that is that knowing that everyone has those negative thoughts and they're always going to kind of be there. It's just kind of a matter of how you treat them and how you let them affect you. And I think you're bound to have like nervous thoughts, scared thoughts, angry, anything under the sun. Like I definitely have all those feelings. I'm a very competitive person, so there's definitely moments I'll get frustrated, I'll get upset or be nervous. Like coming back from an injury is very nerve-wracking, and like the fear of something like that happening again is definitely something that like pops into your head. But I think the main thing is just addressing them and like letting yourself like accept that feeling, like feel it, and then just see how you're going to approach it. And I think for me, it's always just been about like, okay, that's okay, but what if this happens instead? What if the opposite thing happens? And so far, like in my life, things have worked out pretty well. And I think in the grand scheme of things, it's all going to work out how it's supposed to work out. And I've been lucky enough with my experience in the lacrosse world. If I stopped tomorrow, I'd be very happy with what I've done and the people I've met through lacrosse and where the sport's going as a whole. And I think that's kind of how negative thoughts have, at least recently, I think the injuries helped with that a lot. But I think just kind of letting yourself feel them and then move on to the next thing and kind of focus on what the positive could be on the other end of it. So yeah, it's kind of how I try to approach it, at least.
Oh, she said that's crazy. You just said if you stop tomorrow, you'd be happy with everything that you've done. I think that's a cool mindset. I don't think a lot of people have that. I think they're lucky to have that mindset.
Well,
it's been a great ride.
Not to predict the future, but she shouldn't stop tomorrow because she's got a national championship awaiting.
Appreciate that. I hope so. Hope it's the year,
So you did previously mentioned some new players. So you got a few big key transfers this off season.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we're gonna get to Molly Laliberty. Hallelujah.
She is a queen. She's awesome.
Yeah. Whew, she's a beast. And so Carson and I talked about, so I graduated from Mercer and I did some stuff
very cool.
with their team during the COVID shortened season. So I've known who Haley Radigan is. I know how good she is. I've known her for a while. And so, but I didn't expect her to necessarily start for Northwestern. I know Carson didn't either. So how does she kind of fit in with the team, especially when she's not turning the ball over? Because when she's not turning the ball over, she's pretty dang good. Okay.
She's amazing. I mean, anytime you can get like that dominant of a lefty, like that fast and hard of a dodger off the lefty side, it's huge. Like teams have a really hard time stopping someone like that. And she's just been a different type of style that I think has been awesome to have added to our team. Like obviously her and Molly as well have come from a little bit different experiences than a lot of the girls on our team have. Like since I've been here, we've always kind of been on the higher end of teams, and we've always played a certain way because of that and have a very like traditional Northwestern style. So having these girls come in and do such a great job, and they also just like play so hard like all the time that you can tell with both of them, they're just going like 100% like 24/7, and their work ethic is amazing. And like you said, like it's awesome that she came in and then started in that spot, just because obviously she had to earn that, and like just like everyone else did. And she's amazing. She's just another threat that like teams would not have expected coming into this season, and I love to have her. She's awesome. She's a workhorse, and I really enjoy playing with her. And same thing with Molly. She just brings an energy that we haven't had on the defensive end in a while, and I think it really gets the people excited. And you see these big plays happening on the defensive end when I feel like it tends to be like offense, like scoring is what like gets the team hype. But like you'll see Molly just like stuff like someone on the doorstep, and it's just like such a big motivation for our team. And yeah, they've been awesome. They've meshed into the team seamlessly, and it's been awesome to have them.
Very cool. So Carson's dog is in the background. That's in case you're wondering
So
why
cute.
she's like,
And she keeps shaking. And during your introduction, she kept shaking, and her collar would shake, and it's so loud. I was like, Betty, stop, sit down, please. She's on the
What kind of
bed.
dog?
So, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
I
She's
just
just
asked
on
what
the
kind of
bed.
dog it was.
Well, I did the DNA test on her, so there's like 7 different breeds in there, but she's like pit bull, American Staffordshire Terrier, and then there's Lab, and then there's German short-haired
Lab.
Pointer.
Very cute.
All the bully breeds. Yeah.
That's awesome. So cute. I love it.
Her name's Betty.
Oh, cute. Very cute.
Do you have any pets?
Me? No, my brother and his fiance have a chocolate lab that I claim to be my own as well. It's my child, but I don't get to see them very often because they're at home. But I love dogs, love animals as a whole. So
For sure. Their animals are the best, way better than people. Okay,
they're so much better than people.
People do not deserve animals. I can tell you that right now.
Mm-mm.
So before I get to my next question, so Haley Radigan's nickname is Rat, and
Rat,
I love hearing that's what they called her at Mercer, and I've heard it during the broadcast at Northwestern. Like she had a free position, I think it might have been against Northwestern. Like that's a rat, you know. And I was like, just, so I'm curious, do you have any nicknames other than Scane Train? Obviously.
Oh my gosh, my team this year has taken that and like run with it. They have like all these memes of me like cropped onto like they'll do like the Scane plane and then like vein and like lane, like anything that rhymes with my last name, which is unfortunate because a lot of things rhyme with Scane. Apparently, I didn't realize how much rhymed with it until this year. But the girls like have taken that and run with it, and they like I swear every single day they call me something different. I'm like almost sick of my last name at this point because people are just like always saying stuff. But it's very sweet. It comes from a nice place. But anything that rhymes with Scane is pretty much put next to my name. I will say that. Yes. Very entertaining. And technically it is a nickname too. So technically a lot of my friends call me Isabel, but easier on the field. Izzy.
For sure.
I'm just picturing your face like cropped onto like a Thomas the Tank Engine train.
Oh, I could show if my phone was near me, I would show you guys the amount of it is ridiculous. They're everywhere. A lot of girls have it as like their background, just so that like when they see me, they can just like mess with me. I'm like, because I know I like hate that stuff. I'm like, guys, shut up. But it's nice, I guess.
Is Erin Coykendall, is she a guilty party in this? Because she seems like she would be involved with this.
She's absolutely ruthless. She knows how to get under my skin, like no, like or like sisters, like literally, like she knows exactly how to poke me at like all the wrong ways, and that is one of the ways she does it as well. She's right in the middle of it. She loves it. Loves making fun of me. It's awesome.
Awesome. So focusing on your mentality for this season, you mentioned that obviously you missed last season. Has your mentality at all for this season changed because of that injury?
I think just kind of what I was saying earlier about kind of just approaching it with a little bit more of a carefree mentality. I mean, if you get to like this place as an athlete, like D1 sports, like you're going to be very hard on yourself and you're going to expect very big things. And like, that's to be expected, I think, at this level. But I think just making sure, like your time's limited, like playing a sport like this, like you don't have forever to do that. And I think just being happy, like I'm so glad I had an extra year to come back, and I have technically have another year next year if I wanted as well. And just like having that and being lucky enough, like I was lucky enough my injury had happened at a time where I got my season back. Like not a lot of girls have that opportunity. And I think because of that, I've just been trying to have like the most fun possible. And I think you'll see success coming out of that just by like loving the people around you, like enjoying what you're doing and working hard like while doing so, and like really pushing yourself for the people like to the left and the right. And I think this year that's definitely been my focus, is just like not putting too much pressure on myself, not putting too much pressure on the people around me, or having expectations for what it's supposed to look like or how it's supposed to go, and just enjoy it. And hopefully like that'll be enough to kind of pull it out in the end. And I think hopefully it will be. I mean, the girls around me are awesome. I think that helps a lot as well. But that's definitely been part of the mentality that I've just tried to enjoy it, just having fun.
Very cool. Well, I would say it's working. I think you're on pace for an NCAA record 400 goals this year. Not sure if my math is correct on that, but something crazy.
You can step up, you'll jinx it. You gotta just let it happen.
Like,
Listen, I am not an announcer, okay?
Come on.
I'm not there's no announcer jinx. And plus, Coach Monty Hiller's not listening to this, so she can't get mad at me for filling Izzy's head with all these facts, okay?
That's true. Very true.
So before Carson goes, you mentioned next year. Have you decided on next year yet?
I actually just got into the program I wanted to get into here at Kellogg. So odds are pointing to yeah. I have the year. I'd love to play for another year. I can't imagine stopping after this year. So I think I'll be back. That's the plan as of now.
Heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
This moment of statue.
Yeah. It's hard. Kellogg is such a good school. Like if I was to turn that down, that would be pretty silly of me. So, and lacrosse, obviously. I'm having too much fun to stop. That's definitely for sure.
So what program is it? Which program did you get into?
It's a master's in management studies at Kellogg. It's a 1-year program. It can count as the first year for an MBA if you want it to. I don't know if I'll do that because I only have 1 more year of lacrosse. But exciting stuff. We'll see.
Then it's not worth it anymore after lacrosse.
Like once lacrosse is done, yeah.
The academics are done too. It's not
exactly.
Come on,
exactly.
Carson. It's student athlete, not athlete student. Okay.
So she's like, well, maybe. So kind of we've talked about your injury, and I'm sorry to harp on it again, but
That's okay.
I just think that it's really impressive the way that you came back from it. And if I'm being honest, I don't know what David, but part of the reason that I underestimated Northwestern coming into the season is just because that injury is typically very difficult to come back from, and I've watched a lot of girls struggle with it. So I just think it'd be helpful for you to talk about how you approached your ACL recovery and how you came back so strong, because that's a unique experience for a lot of girls.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it helped that I had a lot of girls around me. It's unfortunate that I had a lot of girls around me that had done the injury as well. But a lot of girls on my team that I'm really close with who had those type of injuries earlier in their time here at Northwestern. And even a girl in my grade, Elle Hansen, she did it like a year before I did. So she was coming back right when I ended up doing mine. So having girls like that around me and seeing how they came back from that injury so much stronger and like just did amazing things with it, I think was a really good thing to look up to. And I always had people like in my corner that I could turn and ask questions, and had people like I had an amazing support system through the entire thing, which I'm very, very lucky for. And Northwestern medicine and athletics do an amazing job as well with that, which again, very lucky. Not everyone necessarily has that opportunity, but I think the main thing for me, I think, was, I mean, obviously ACL recovery is such a long process. It's technically like 6 to 9 months, but to get back to like playing, it usually ends up taking about a year just to get back to like full strength. And I think my mentality with that was just knowing that there are going to be hard days and there's going to be good days as well, and just kind of taking it one thing at a time, one day at a time. Like you have to like relearn how to like flex your muscle and like walk and like all that stuff. That's just like, as like a D1 athlete, that's just like the bare minimum. But so like there's definitely days that were super hard, but I have like a tattoo on my wrist that's ODAAT, which is just one day at a time. And that was kind of something I focused on a lot during my whole recovery process, like along with just like leaning on the people to the left and right of me. I've said that a couple times, but I really do have an amazing group of people here. And I always had people to turn to when I was having good or bad days, and they're kind of rooting me on the entire time. And then also just like excitement to hopefully get back and play again, just doing it for that as well. So yeah, smoothly, thankfully.
And knowing you had such a good team to come back to would be motivation. Because if you could get back, you guys would be just so strong. So
absolutely, yeah, definitely helped.
Motivating. Cool. Thank you.
Very cool. So you mentioned your tattoo. This was not one of my questions, but I'm curious, are you into quotes or anything?
Into quotes? I am. Yes, I do like quotes. My tattoos are kind of dumb ones, honestly. I have like the most random stuff, but that one is one that, because a lot of time when I get like stressed and stuff, I'll like look down at my wrist or like look at my hand. So I got the tattoo just as like a nice little reminder whenever I'm like stressed out, like one thing at a time, like one day at a time. It's all gonna work out. And I definitely do like quotes. I definitely like them. So.
Awesome. Yeah. Do you have a favorite one?
My favorite one's actually a Winnie the Pooh quote, which is kind of like cheesy, but it's the one that like I don't know exactly what the words are, but it's something to the extent of like, "Oh, how lucky am I to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard," or something like that.
Yeah.
Something to that extent. And I've always loved it. I think it's so accurate with like, through the injury, it was kind of like that. I was very lucky to be so like love something so much that it was so devastating when I had to stop for a little bit, and obviously I was able to come back from it, which is awesome. But that's probably my favorite quote. I've always loved that one for some reason. Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right, so Winnie the Pooh's the next tattoo. You got to put
Winnie
him
the
somewhere
Pooh.
on your
I
body.
know. Gotta get something. I mean, I don't know where, but I'll get something. Yeah.
Just right on the forehead.
Yeah, exactly. That's a Pooh.
Okay, we don't need any more Post Malone's walking around the streets.
Yeah.
Okay.
That like
No,
teardrop of like a Pooh. Like,
Yeah, it's his honey pot. It's just like teardrops.
Exactly.
Awesome. So one thing I've noticed on your social media is that mental health seems to be a big focus for you. You're always posting whether it is a quote or just like a positive message, it seems to be at the forefront. So I'm curious, what was your mental health journey like from injury to getting back on the field in the fall?
Yeah, I think mental health is like so huge, and thankfully now there's a lot of attention getting drawn to it, which I think is awesome. Because I think the more people can have open dialect about it and talk about it, there's going to be just more understanding as a whole for like the people around you, and knowing that you're not the only one going through things, and people are going to understand and like be there for you. And I think especially with student athletes, we'll see student athletes are such like type A people that they expect a lot from themselves, and they expect a lot, and they feel the expectations on them from the people around them. And I think being able to just like have open conversations about that is like so important. And it's been a really big focus for our team this year and last year, and just the last couple of years of having very open, vulnerable conversations with stuff like that, just so everyone knows that they're not alone, and you can come to any one of us with what you're dealing with. And I think with the injury, I think right when I got hurt, I kind of had like a oh crap moment of like, what am I like outside of being a lacrosse player? Like I've never like over my time of, even when I was younger, I played sports like my entire life. I never was not doing something and didn't have a sport. And I did competitive gymnastics before I started lacrosse and was like pretty good at that too. So I was like, I never like was really in the position of like not having that and not having some sort of my self-worth be put in like my ability to do something athletic, which is kind of a weird thing to think about. But when I got hurt, that was definitely something I was like, oh crap, like I'm gonna have to like sit with that a little bit and like figure out like who I want to be as a person outside of a lacrosse player, because I had a full year to kind of do that. And obviously there's a focus on like getting back and recovering, but I knew for at least like a year I was going to be not a lacrosse player, which is kind of crazy to think about. And I think that was hard. There are definitely like hard moments, but I think that definitely allowed me to like lean into like being vulnerable with the people around me when I was having like bad days, and like making sure they knew they could do the same with me. And yeah, it's been a very, like I said, like I think things happen for a reason. It's been a very rewarding part of the whole thing, is just being okay with being myself outside of like lacrosse. Obviously I love lacrosse and I love being an athlete, and it's always been such a big part of me, but knowing that I'll be okay if that were to stop, like I said earlier, I think has been a really big part of my kind of mental health journey, and just being okay with that. So yeah, kind of interesting to talk about.
I was gonna say, let me tell you, that's good practice for when you stop. I've never been more competitive in a game of intramural flag football in my entire life this year. Because I was like, I need something, like somebody tackle me. I just need some.
Absolutely.
Good practice.
Yeah, Carson is in, I think, every single club team offered at the University of North Carolina now.
Club, intramural, every intramural sport I can sign up for. I'm
awesome.
I texted her.
It's weird.
I texted her a few months ago, and she was like, "Yeah, I got a bloody eye. I got poked in the eye from playing basketball."
Listen, no, I mean, it's tough. Like I agree. I think that I also didn't think that was talked about enough, except for in recent years, and people are like, hey,
Yeah,
when you stop being an athlete, you are
it'd be
still
hard.
important.
Yeah,
Yeah, because so much of your self-worth is put in that as an
absolutely.
athlete. So
Yeah,
I think that's kind of
Just-
been coupled with the mental health conversation. It's just like it's okay to not just like you're
Yeah.
more than being an
yeah,
athlete.
you're more than just an athlete. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
for sure. So just one last thing for me. I'm wondering, did you pick up any new hobbies, or did you find out that you had any interests that you didn't know about during that journey?
Let me think on that. I listened to a lot of music during that time. I know that because a lot of like training is like a little bit by yourself, like kind of doing solo stuff. So I listened to a lot of music. I've always loved music, but that definitely became a bigger part of my repertoire during my injury. I definitely watched more lacrosse than I'd ever watched in my life. I've never really been the type to like analyze film or anything, but during that time period, that was kind of my way of staying in touch with it. And I like Rubik's cubes, which is kind of nerdy, but I like that because it's something to do with your hands. I always enjoyed that as well, but yeah, kind of random stuff.
Very cool. Hey, you go to Northwestern, so you're like one of the smartest people on the planet. Okay, so I'm sure you can do a Rubik's cube.
I'm not sure about that, but I can't do the Rubik's cube. That I can't do.
Awesome, very cool.
Yes.
I could not. What was the? Oh, we were saying something the other day. I was like, would you rather? Oh, here's a good question. I mean, you can solve one, but David, can you solve Rubik's cube?
No.
Okay, then this is a question for you. Would you rather go to jail for a year or be in jail until you could solve a Rubik's cube?
That is an awesome question.
Who's that for?
Either. Well, she can solve
I know
it,
how
so
to solve it,
choose
so
that.
I'm jail. Yeah.
Good for you. She's out of jail.
Well,
Like a minute and a half.
I think I'd rather go to jail until I could solve it.
Because
Really?
I don't know if I have that much confidence in myself.
I think it would.
I no offense, but or no offense, it would only be offense to me, but I'm not built to be in jail, okay? So I think that would be good motivation for me to try and get it done when someone is staring at me trying to take my soul with their eyes, you know? So
True. Fair enough. All right. I don't know if I'm not sure what my answer was. I was just curious what yours was. Okay, so on a completely different topic.
we talk about all things on this podcast.
I love it. I love it. It's awesome.
So you post a lot about your family. You mentioned that your brother and fiance have the chocolate lab. How you seem like a family girl. So my question is, how important is it to you to have their support in lacrosse and in life?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been very, very lucky. I have really good relationships with my family. They're like, my 3 brothers are all like my best friends in the world. Love them all for like different reasons. They're very different people, but we are like very, very close. And I have great relationships with both my parents as well. Like they're just the best people on earth. And I think have equipped me to deal with the real world like in amazing ways. And I really look up to them in a lot of ways. And their support has been amazing. And I think the biggest part of that is like knowing that they'll love me no matter what. Like I'm very, very lucky with the people I've been surrounded with, and we definitely push each other. We're a very competitive family. Like my dad wrestled in college, so he's got like some competitive fire in him, and my mom did competitive gymnastics and then ran in college as well. So I think the majority of my competitiveness and like kind of drive to win, I hate losing, I think it comes from my parents, and my brothers are the same way, and they all play lacrosse. So we've like grown as players and people like through that. And yeah, I'm very lucky with I can't speak highly enough of like my family. They're amazing. So I'm very glad I have the relationships I do with them. And I hope like just for all the best, I want all my brothers to like be more successful than I ever have been and just have all the best things. So yeah, it's been awesome. They definitely are a big part of why I think I've gotten to where I've gotten today, is just their support and who they are as people. So I'm very blessed on that front.
Are you the oldest?
No, I have one older brother, 2 younger.
Got it.
Yeah, my older brother, he just got engaged actually. So I never had a sister, but it's basically like I have a sister now, which is kind of cool. Never had one. And they're awesome. Yeah. So
you said that. Sorry. I was gonna ask you if you feel like having your family behind you has made you a better player, but it sounds like the answer to that question is yes from your answer.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got a little flair like boys lacrosse a little bit just from being in the backyard, being up on each other a little bit. They're awesome. My brothers are like great little lacrosse players as well. So we definitely have some fun together, which is awesome.
I think the boys lacrosse thing helps, to be honest. Having brothers who played, because Corinne Bednarik on Drexel also had like wanted to play men's lacrosse forever, and that's now she can just rip it from wherever. I can never rip it. My brother never played men's lacrosse. It's got to be his fault. Because there must be men's lacrosse guys.
I agree. Definitely think it's made me better.
So still focusing on family, I ask this question to everyone I know who's ever stepped foot in the state of Illinois. Okay, have you been to the Home Alone house?
I think I went to it like back when I was like looking at Northwestern in like 2014. So maybe then, but I don't think I've been back. It's like you'd be surprised it's not that like amazing of an experience. Like, cause you just drive up, you see it, and you're like, okay, and then you just like drive back. Like it's like the quickest little like, oh, very cool, like awesome, and then you leave because a family lives there too. So you can't like go knock on their door and ask to
I'm
go
gonna
in or
knock on your
anything.
door. I mean,
They'll report you, call the cops. No, it's definitely cool. But I have been there, yes. I think a long
very
time
good.
ago though.
I love what I just love Home Alone. Do you have a favorite Christmas movie?
My favorite, The Grinch, easily. I think it's like
Okay.
the funniest movie in the world. I think The Grinch is so funny. But I don't know. That
Is
might be a
that the
hot take,
animated
but
one or no?
I like it. Not as much as the original one though. I love like, well, I don't know if I guess that's not the original. The one with Jim Carrey is the one I like. The like live. I don't know
For sure.
how do you explain it? I think it's so funny.
For sure. Yeah, I like when he's like in the corner. I think it's the wrapping room. He's like in the corner, like up. That was just cracking me up. So I can talk about Christmas as much as I can talk about lacrosse.
Yeah, fair enough. Christmas is the best.
You know what Northwestern should do as a promotional? They should get an Izzy Scane Christmas ornament going on. It could be the Scane train, it could be the Scane plane, whatever. Like Erin Coykendall designed it, okay?
No one wants that on their tree. No one's gonna want my face like floating around the lacrosse tree, the Christmas tree. No way.
Her eyes are
zero
following
purchases. Yeah, exactly. I'd hate that personally.
My friends would kill me if they knew I was doing this. But you guys gonna hear my Grinch impression? It's really good.
Yes, please.
Okay, ready?
Please.
5 o'clock, following self-pity.
That is also like the best scene in the entire movie too. That's good.
That's my favorite scene ever. I like went home for Christmas break one time and I was like, I'm really good at this. And I came back and showed everybody my friends at school and they were like, you're horrible at that.
They're like, please don't do that. That's awesome. I thought it was pretty good. Close my eyes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Izzy Scane thinks my Grinch impression is good. That's all I need.
Absolutely. That's funny.
This has been one of the most fun episodes we've had yet. This is
great. Oh, good. Okay. I'm glad.
We have a few more questions, and you never know where the conversation's gonna go. Okay, let's see. So we talked about them earlier, but two players I specifically want to ask you about. We could start with Erin Coykendall. I feel like she's really emerged this year as someone who's just so creative. The BTBs, the fake BTBs, the BTB passes. I mean, and she plays with an edge to her that I really enjoy. So can you talk about Erin Coykendall and just her as a player?
Yeah, she's amazing. I've known her since my freshman year of high school, so we've known each other for like years and years and years now. And my brother used to play for a club team out in New York, so we'd go stay at her house and like hang out. So we've been really good friends for a really long time, and I've always loved playing with her. She's probably the smartest lacrosse player, like highest IQ player I've ever interacted with in my entire life, of anyone. She like sees the game so well. Like I don't know how she does it. I think she like can slow stuff down in her brain, because she will literally sit there on the field and like just tell me to do something and I'll do it, and everything will just magically like work out. Like if you see me like scoring goals or like cutting the cage, like I would venture to guess like 9 out of 10 times she's the one that's like telling me to like do this or that, or telling people around us. And she's amazing. I think like you said, this year she's really come into her own. I think she's always been amazing. I've always been like a massive fan of her, and I don't think she's ever gotten enough attention. Like I think she deserves as much attention as anyone does. And yeah, she's just crazy creative, crazy like finesse, and she just brings this like level of fun to the game that I can't like. I appreciate it so much. She does such a good job, and she really like orchestrates our offense as a whole. She's an awesome person to have on the team, like on and off the field. But yeah, she's amazing. I'm so glad she's like getting like a little bit more attention this year, because I swear she's always been like that. She just does it a little more low key sometimes, and this year she's really like got that confidence, and people are seeing it, and it's amazing to play with. Yeah.
Very cool. I love watching her, and also when she debuted those gray unis at practice that they show on Instagram. So those unis are so sick. Y'all should wear them every game. Okay. So sick.
They're just like a little tight for some reason, so it's like gray, so like you'll sweat too, and they're like tight, so but I love the look of them. But for some, I don't know what happened with the sizing. Everyone's like arms are just like bulking out of them. Like I was talking about my arms being too big. That uniform does it to me every time. It looks like massive in it. But they are cool. She's awesome. She's hilarious. I really love playing with her. We like chit chat the entire game. She's kind of like me. She likes to like interact with people and each other, and so it's been really fun being back on the field with her. Love that girl.
Awesome. So everyone, next time Northwestern wears their gray uniforms, look to see if they are uncomfortable.
Look at my muscle. Yeah. You'll see my arms popping out of them like a man.
Hey, you get the tightness going, and then you can get the veins popping too, and then Scane the vein or vein Scane, whatever.
Yeah.
So,
oh God.
Okay, and the second player, Molly Laliberty, she is just so insane. So she came from Tufts.
Absolutely.
And Carson and I, we talked about this on the podcast, and I don't know what it was, but I just had a feeling that she was going to be really good. Not that she wasn't at Tufts, but it's a different level of competition. And she has just been insane, like making insane saves. The Boston College game. I mean, you can point to any game.
Absolutely.
She's making insane saves. So I'm curious, did you know right away in fall practice that this girl's legit?
I remember really early on when we got to practices and she would like stuff me like right on the doorstep, just absolutely take away like wide open shots for me, and just she did an amazing job right off the bat. And obviously you never know until like games how it's gonna actually pan out, but in practice I remember a couple of us talking, especially on offense, because we get to shoot on her so much, just being like, I think she's gonna be really, really good. Like obviously we have to see, but like this girl, like she's got something, and she's also one of those players that like she goes hard like all the time. Like you'll see her absolutely throw her body at shots and do whatever she can to kind of get there. And I think that's something that is super fun to watch and super exciting. And it's rewarded by like some of the stops she makes. It's all just effort based. Like she puts 110%. And like I said, like when you need like those big moment like turnaround points, and she just like stuffs like one of the best attackers in the country on the doors. It's just like the most exciting thing in the world. And she works really hard, and I think it's even more amazing where she's come from, and she's fit right into the team like super, super well. The defense loves her, and it's been really fun to see her kind of come into that position and do so well. It's exciting. Yeah.
Awesome. And she has just great energy in the cage. She's always like, she
Very
shows her,
hype,
which is amazing. Well, does she ever talk trash to opponents?
I don't know. I think the majority of our team is very much like if someone says something to us, we'll talk back, but like we usually aren't the ones that initiate it, but we're like super defensive of each other. Like we are very protective. So like if we hear something like from one end, like you're going to hear it. So I don't know if she does necessarily, but I wouldn't be surprised if someone was talking to her, if she'd say something back. She's probably more competitive than I am, which is very impressive because I'm very competitive, but I love it. I love the fire. It's so fun.
Did she walk in with a lot of confidence when she like showed up in fall ball practice coming from Tufts? Did she just show up with confidence? That's so impressive.
Yeah, she really like right off the bat was doing great. Like I not in an arrogant way at all, but I think she knew she was good enough to be there, and I think she got a lot of confidence from her 4 years at Tufts, and she knew who she was as a player, which was really cool to see her kind of come in and just like do amazing right off the bat. So I loved it. It was very exciting. And it's so exciting to be like, ooh, we got this like awesome girl. She's about to be in cage for us, like making big plays. And it's been fun. And it's good practice for us to shoot on such a good goalie as well. Like she makes us a lot better as well. All our goalies are awesome, but she's awesome. So
Could you imagine if she goes from Tufts to now she's at Northwestern and they win a national championship? I mean,
would
make it
knocking on my desk.
Movie,
saying that.
They need to make it a movie. I'm calling Lionsgate Films right now. I'm making this a movie. Okay.
She's just gonna finish the end of this podcast like la 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 la. Please stop jinxing her.
That would be very, very cool, I will say. But knock on wood.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on.
You're saying it, not me.
Not you, we gotta move on. In your season, so you said you'll probably take your sixth year, correct? That'd be your sixth year.
Yeah. Crazy.
After that, what do you see your future in lacrosse like? Do you think you'll coach, or do you think you'll move on?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's been an interesting part about the injury is having that extra 2 years. So this year I just got a certificate in this business certificate. Basically, it was not hard, but the master's next year is I went to school. I was like pre-med, and undergrad, I was speech pathology was basically my major. So I've always wanted to go into medicine. That's always been like the main thing I wanted to do. And I wanted to go to PA school when I was done with undergrad at Northwestern. And obviously, like the way things shook out, I had extra time here to like figure out what I wanted to do outside of that. So the management thing is super exciting. I think that will help me a lot in the lacrosse world. Like if I do choose to stay involved and coach or work with companies, my contract with Gate, I think, goes like 3 years out of when I'm done playing at Northwestern. So I'll be with them, working with them, which is really exciting. Like I love working with them. And I think the next World Cup's maybe like a year after I'm done. So if I have another opportunity to try out for that, that would be really exciting, and maybe get a opportunity to represent the US, which would be really, really cool. So we'll see. It's kind of like a take it year by year kind of situation, but I love lacrosse like so much. I can't imagine not being very involved with my time once I'm done and graduated from here. But I love coaching too. Like really love coaching. I coach a club team back at home, and the girls are like, it's like my favorite thing on earth. So I would say I will definitely stay very involved.
They're probably so cute. They probably go tell everyone like, Izzy Scane's my coach. Hey guys, Izzy Scane's my coach. Oh,
they're so cute. Like very, very sweet. Like I love them. My little like Michigan like nuggets. They're so cute.
How old?
I have the youngest that goes is like 5th grade, going into middle school, and then I up through high school. Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, they're so bragging. That's
it. Yeah.
So I'm curious, did you play any other positions before you settled on attack when you were growing up?
Well, I was midfield in high school, and then when I got to Northwestern, I actually played straight D for the first like 7 games of my freshman season. I was a low defender. Yeah, and then I got pushed up. Yeah, I got pushed up to midfield and then pushed to attack by like halfway through the season, and then that was all offense from there.
Kelly a call and ask her what was going on.
The funny thing too about like I'm like fine at defense, but I was like a liability, like very aggressive. Like I think I got a card in like every game, and like as a freshman, that's kind of funny to see like this like freshman just like decking these. Like it was just like dumb. Like I was a liability. Like so I think it worked out well getting them to put me in a spot where I wasn't as much of a aggressive problem child. So it worked out well. I love defense, honestly. Like D was like my favorite thing in the world, but scoring goals is also very fun. So I'll take either spot.
Hey, you get to do both. You get to go on the ride a lot
in
the game.
That's
Obviously
true.
Not too much because you don't miss a lot, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, this is true.
We talked about the men's lacrosse thing, that the liability on defense might be where that came
exactly.
Right there.
Be like decking my little brothers in the backyard. Definitely played into that, I will say.
Like, yeah, I can play defense. What do you mean? You just shove them at the ground.
Exactly.
Awesome. So so we are both from non-traditional lacrosse areas. Carson, she's a little more basic. She's from Maryland. Who cares?
I had it easy, and I still didn't make it to the top 5 program.
Shush, come on.
So awesome. You're from Michigan, and it seems like you take a lot of pride in that. I'm from Georgia.
Awesome.
Went to Mercer University just for literally just for the women's lacrosse team. I remember I transferred there because at the time I wanted to be a sports commentator, so I transferred to Mercer, and my advisor was like, "Why'd you come here?" I'm like, "Oh, for the women's lacrosse team." This man burst out laughing. I wanted to jump across that desk and slap him. I'm not a person. Okay, I wouldn't have done that. But anyways, and I was like, women's lacrosse is a great sport. Why are you disrespecting it? So anyways, okay, so I'm from Georgia, and it's growing in lacrosse, but still not super huge. And now I live in Utah, and it's very tiny out here. You're from Michigan, so I'm curious, do you take pride in representing the state as far as the talent that exists there and the players, the potential that they have?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Northwestern's an awesome place because Kelly has pulled from like all over the country. Like we've had girls do amazing things from crazy states that you would never think like great lacrosse players would come out of, but they do. And I think being from a little bit less of a traditional area and kind of coming up through that and kind of having to have that as like a little extra step to get past like a little bit lower of a style of play in Michigan, well, it used to be at least, it's really getting up there, thankfully. But I think being someone from a place like that really helps grow it more. Like I think I've heard from a lot of girls out of Michigan that like never really even watched lacrosse or knew what lacrosse was until they saw me or some of the other girls that you see doing amazing things coming out of Michigan. Like you have Brooke Newman on UNC. Unfortunately, she's out hurt now, but she's from Michigan as well. And I think it is awesome to have some sort of representation for these girls that were like me, younger, looking up, wanting to go to these like crazy schools. Like I always said I was going to go to Northwestern, but that was kind of a little like dream, obviously, coming out of Michigan. And seeing someone be able to do it and do it well, and anyone coming out of kind of areas like that, coming to this level and just showing the people where you came from that it's possible and that you can do it. You just got to work hard, and it's awesome. I love Michigan. I've always loved like being a Midwest kid. Like definitely something that's a big part of my personality. So I definitely have a lot of pride in that. And we're seeing more and more girls come out of Michigan do great things. You have Jill Smith too on Michigan, who's their top scorer right now. She's from right in my area. Yeah, she's doing awesome. And I never played her in high school, but like it's just awesome to see kids coming out of there. And that's why I love going back and coaching so much, because there's definitely the talent. It's just a little bit lack of an exposure. But yeah, I love it. I hope the best. Anyone I know coming out of Michigan, I'm like rooting for them very heavily. So I'm excited. Yeah, see how it goes.
Very, very cool. So when you were in high school and going through the recruiting process, were there any struggles that you faced being from Michigan, or how did you kind of navigate those waters?
I was lucky. My mom she's very good at like learning how to do things well. So she like as soon as we started playing lacrosse, like knew exactly where the best places were to be, like what schools were the best, what programs, what club teams, like what camps I needed to be at to get seen by like this and that. And I was very blessed with like the way my parents did that. Like they did an amazing job of kind of knowing where to put me to get seen. And I actually played for a club team out of Massachusetts, starting my sophomore, junior year of high school. So I got to go out to Massachusetts a bit and play with a lot of the girls that are actually on Northwestern now, played for the same club team I did, and get a little bit more exposure out east and kind of get my foot in the door in terms of the style of play that was a little bit different than Michigan. And I also had an amazing high school coach who had coached all over the country before he came to Michigan and kind of settled down. So I had him as well. And yeah, it definitely was a interesting process and took a little bit extra effort, but it all worked out the same, and I'm very glad it did, because yeah, my mom did a great job. She most of the props go to my mom. She figured out like exactly where I needed to be to like, get seen by exactly who I wanted to get seen by, and thankfully it worked out the way it did. So
Mama's know best.
She did a great job. Props to her. She's gonna be up my ass about this after. Sorry, excuse my French, but won't hear me say that. She's gonna be like, oh, like, because I probably don't say it enough to her face, but she did a great job. Yeah.
She's like, oh, you announced it to the whole podcast, but you can't tell me.
Yeah, nice. But you can't tell me. Yeah, exactly. Bye, Mom.
Also, shout out to Izzy Scane's mom. She follows Lacrosse Extras. We greatly appreciate it. I see her name pop up in the story
too.
a lot.
Yeah.
Shout out Patricia.
Social media. Yeah, Patricia. Yeah, she loves it. She loves social media stuff. It's so funny. Doesn't know how it works very well, but she's right there. She's trying her best.
So last thing for me is so I totally forgot that you played for a club team in Massachusetts. Jillian Riley actually told me that a few years ago that y'all played. I'm not sure if y'all played on the same team, but y'all played for the same club. What was the name of the club team that you played for?
Mass Elite. They were awesome. They welcomed me like I used to like literally fly in, and like owner of the whole club team, named Leslie, would like pick me up from the airport and let me stay at their house so that I could practice with them on weekends. Like they're just amazing. And it's actually the Hansons, my roommate now, Elle Hansen, girl in my grade. It's her like aunt, and like her whole family is connected to Mass Elite, so they would let me stay at their house. So I've known Elle for a really long time too, like through that, and I've got to play with them for like years and years now. So yeah, it was a great experience. I was very lucky. They welcomed me in like open arms, which can't say everyone would do that. So a lot of props go to them as well.
They gave you that VIP treatment, okay?
I did. It was awesome. I was like, I don't know what I did to deserve you guys being this nice to me, but I appreciated it a lot, because it definitely made me a much better player and got a little bit more exposure than I would have if I was just sticking around Michigan all the time. Not that it's not great in Michigan, and not that the majority of my work came from Michigan, and they're doing amazing, but it definitely helped to kind of get my foot in the door with kind of like East Coast style of play that I hadn't seen so much of. Yeah.
So Carson, that's 2 episodes in a row we've talked about Mass Elite. Our last guest, Eugenie Rovigno. Was that a siren?
Probably.
Okay, I'll edit that part. So our last guest on the podcast also played for Mass Elite and had nothing but good things to say about it. So Mass Elite's got a good rep on the player and the journalist.
Absolutely.
I recognize that. Where do I recognize that club name from?
Yeah. Yeah, we had like 6. There's me, Elle Hansen, Jane Hansen, Dylan Amonte, Maddie Balter, Taylor Pinzone. These are all girls that were at Northwestern, played or are at Northwestern now and played at Mass Elite. So I've known them all for years and years. It was awesome to get to start playing with them a little bit earlier. Yeah, very cool.
Did Jill Girardi play at Mass Elite? Because she was such a beast. I could imagine if she did. Okay.
No, she didn't, but she put him. She's kind of from like middle of nowhere, New York as well. So I don't know if she had that as much exposure either, but she did. Oh, she's a bad ASS. She's awesome. She did. She's like one of my best friends. I like love what she's doing right now. She's coaching, and I love every time I see her. She's awesome.
I loved when Shelby Fredericks posted on her Instagram story last year, and she was like, Jill Draw Artie. Okay, it was amazing.
Very punny. But Northwestern loves the puns. They're like, they come up with some names I wish never came out of the like woodwork, but they do, and people run with it. Like Scane Train was, I think Scane Train was either Kelly or Shelby. It very easily could have been Shelby. And I'm like, you just stuck me with that name for a long time. Gosh dang. But worked out fine.
It's like every social media outlet posts that name too. It's like it's not just Northwestern.
It's literally everywhere. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Again, I'm gonna take it as a compliment. So like, but oh my gosh, it's an interesting name.
You're cool enough to have a nickname amongst social media outlets. That means you've got to be pretty good, right? You've got yourself in a good spot. So to close it out, kind of, I have one last question for you. What are your personal goals and team goals for the Wildcats this season?
Yeah, I think personally, I think I'd like to just continue enjoying what I'm doing. I think obviously I want to be like the best player I can possibly be, and I think I'm at a good place to do that. I think the people around me make me a lot better, from the coaches and my teammates. They're amazing, and I think I'm just hoping every day I can just have fun and get a little bit better each day, and hopefully it's enough at the end of the season to kind of pull out that elusive national championship. And for the team, I think same thing, just making sure we're leaning at each other and we're working hard and we're getting better every day. And just as long as we can become the best version of Northwestern lacrosse we can be, I think that's a pretty good goal for us, and just enjoy it while doing so. I think that's all you can really ask for, and make it a great experience the rest of the season. And again, hopefully it all works out in the end. That's the goal, obviously.
Well, I wish you guys luck. And if I wasn't a Northwestern fan at the beginning of this episode, I definitely am now. So I promise that I am now rooting for you guys for the rest of the season. Although to be fair, you have actually always been my favorite player, which is crazy because I don't really do that. Like I was always kind of like, oh, whatever, it's just lacrosse. But I just remember, like, I just love you, Betty. Jesus, I love just your aura when you play lacrosse. So I've always been a U fan, but now I'll cheer for Northwestern also.
Thank you. Awesome. Glad I could get you on our side. I appreciate it.
I'm glad you mentioned your aura, Carson. This is the last thing for me. So I totally forgot to mention this, but this season you have had some sass, okay, when you're throwing your stick, okay? I mean, you've been throwing it, you've been launching it across the field, okay? You've had some energy. So where did that come from? Or has it always been like that?
I don't know. I think I've just been very excited to be back. Like it's kind of just like I'm just very happy to be playing again, and I think it's just fun. I love winning. I love my team. I love anything that comes with. I think the environment too at Northwestern, like with our indoor games, is just like so fun. The crowd's amazing. It's like such a fun environment. And I think that also leads to a little bit of oomph behind the celebration. So I definitely we get very excited, which it makes it more fun. Some of the pictures I have are like the funniest things in the world, like girls like just like straddling me like on the field and stuff. So I love it. It's all the girls. Our bench is amazing too, and it's a fun environment. Leads to me hucking my stick, which is, I need to be careful. I feel like I'm gonna break it at some point, which I don't want to break it in these sticks, so hopefully I don't. But yeah, it's just all in good fun.
Hey, you're a sponsored athlete. You can do whatever you want. You can just
yeah.
call Gary, okay? Gary will hook you up with a few sticks, okay? Shout out Gary Gate, another great follower of Lacrosse Extras. We appreciate you, my man Gary.
My man Gary.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. We've had a great time, and we might need to have you on again. If you haven't had enough of us yet, we might need to have you on again at some point. This has been so much fun. And
I'd love to.
I think this is going to be amazing for fans. Very insightful. We had some fun, but we also talked lacrosse, which is awesome. So thank you so much. Best of luck the rest of the season, and good luck making all my predictions come true.
Thank you. I appreciate the faith. I do. I appreciate it. I've had a lot of fun. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.